Hey, what's going on, guys? So today I'm going to be showing you how to make homemade blue cheese dressing. So the reason I'm making homemade blue cheese dressing is because I have some blue cheese left over. I got a chunk of this Roquefort blue cheese, super strong blue cheese, really good, from I believe France. I use that to make a cream sauce for a steak dinner that I made my wife a couple days ago, and I wanted to use this blue cheese for something. I had a pack of wings in the freezer. I figured it'd be perfect. Obviously good timing since the NFL season has started, so for all you guys and girls out there making wings every weekend, you know, this might be a nice addition if you do like blue cheese dressing. So, and P.S. yes, I can do ranch with wings, but blue cheese is the go-to for chicken wings. So the problem I'm having is I'm missing an ingredient. So I had the blue cheese, I had all the rest of the stuff in my house, but I'm missing one thing, and that would be buttermilk. However, I do have heavy cream left over, again, from making that cream sauce. So I'm going to make some buttermilk. How do you do that? Super simple. I think I've shown this in an old video. If you put heavy whipped cream inside of a container and you shake the hell out of it over and over again, just shake it and shake it and shake it and shake it and shake it, what ends up happening is the solids separate from the liquid and you get a chunk of butter in there, and all the liquid that's left is buttermilk. So I'll show you that later, but the other ingredients I want to show you here real quick, it's super simple. You have a cup of mayonnaise, a cup of sour cream, and then the rest of these are all a half a teaspoon. Half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of pepper, half a teaspoon of sugar, half a teaspoon of dry ground mustard, half a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, and about a half a teaspoon or maybe a little more of some minced garlic. All right, obviously our cheese, and then our buttermilk's gonna be 3/4 of a cup. Hopefully I get that out of this, we'll see. But essentially all I want to do is take our cream and pour it into this container here. All right, fill her up, and shake, shake, shake. That's it. All right, so I'm going to do this off camera because it does take a while. It takes about 10-15 minutes, depends on how hard you're shaking it, but I'm just going to shake it and shake it and shake it. All right, so you'll see when I come back, I'll show you what ends up happening. All right, I just want to show you we're about halfway right now. Okay, it looks like a bunch of, you know, melted whipped cream. I should have used a little bit of a larger jar because you want more room for it to agitate, but that is totally normal. It doesn't seem like it's going to ever happen, and then all of a sudden it's just a ball of butter. All right, we are almost there. You see how it's separating? So it's become more of a solid in there. Take a quick break because my arms feel like jello, and then I'm going to finish it off. All right, we'll see it in just a moment. You're shaking it, you hear the liquid move around, then eventually it gets really thick. It's essentially turning into whipped cream. You keep shaking it, you hear nothing, you shake it forever, you think it's never going to happen, and eventually you start hearing something sloshing again. All right, and that's because it's finally separated. So now you can see we have the liquid, which is our buttermilk, and then the solids, which is our butter. All right, so now I want to separate that, so I'll be right back. All right, so there we have it. Now we have buttermilk. All right, and there is our butter. Now keep in mind this butter is unsalted. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw in some salt. All right, and then I will mix that in. And now I have some fresh butter for something else. All right, so we'll put that off to the side for now though, because I want to finish making this dressing. So all these things go into the bowl. Super simple. If you notice our cheese is missing, that's in the freezer. That's a little trick. Instead of crumbling the blue cheese in there, which usually gives you big chunks and makes a mess, especially if it's actually warm. But if you freeze it or semi-freeze it, we can grate it in there, all right, or shave it in there, so it's a lot smaller pieces. All right, that'll incorporate into the dressing a lot better. So everything goes into this mixing bowl. Super simple. We'll start with our buttermilk. All right. Let's get a little mixer in here. All right, then our mayonnaise, pop that in there. Okay, sour cream. Really straightforward. Now you really want, when you make this, you want it to sit at least a couple hours before you use it. It's probably better overnight. Alright, so here's our garlic and our Worcestershire sauce. Make sure all that gets in there. Alright, so mixing this a little bit. We have our sugar, our dry mustard, and our salt and pepper. Alright, so let me incorporate that fully. I'll be right back. Alright, so our base is really incorporated. It's nice and thick. Of course, you can add as much or as little buttermilk to make this as thick or as thin as you want. Alright, so I pulled this out of the freezer. It's not totally frozen, but I think it's hard enough where it's not going to be as melty. Alright, so we have a good stinky blue cheese here. And we're going to go ahead and kind of grate it in there. Make sure I don't get any of that, any of the wrapper. And it's cool, if chunks fall off, that's totally fine. It's meant to happen as well. I don't mind a good chunk of blue cheese. Alright, I'm actually going to do this with my hands. Really want to make sure you don't get plastic in there. Alright, but that's pretty much it. Do this for the whole block. Alright, after a little bit, go ahead and mix that in. And just continue the process. Let's get a zoom on that. All that wonderful blue cheese. Slowly put that in our wonderful dressing here. And there you go. Some homemade blue cheese dressing. I'll give this a little taste before we put it in our fridge, but again, all the flavors do need some time in the refrigerator to kind of meld together. And I'm going to put this in a smaller container as well. Alright, so let's give this a little taste. Again, this should sit in the refrigerator overnight. Wow. I'm not going to dump that back in there. Even though me and my wife don't care, and that's all it's for. You know, double dipping. I know people get skeezed out by that. So, anyway, that is it. That is our homemade blue cheese dressing. The cheese I had, the recipe really would be better with like double that cheese. You kind of want about 4 ounces overall. I had about 2.5 ounces there. So it's not as like, you know, super pungent as you might like. Obviously you can put as much cheese or as little cheese as you want in there. It just depends on personal taste, but if you like blue cheese dressing, you probably like it pretty chunky and pretty cheesy. But this is awesome. It'll be even better in a couple hours, or literally overnight is the best, but we're going to make dinner in about 4 or 5 hours from now, so I'll give it that amount of time to sit. So that's it. Hopefully you guys have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Take care.